Hi, everyone. This is John Daly. I'm here with Bernie Goldberg for what we hope to be at least a semi-regular video feature exclusively for Bernard Goldberg Premium members. We plan to talk about a variety of political, media, and cultural topics. How are you doing today, Bernie?
Just fine, just fine.
Very good, very good. Well, we
Looking
figured we'd
forward.
launch this first. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was saying I'm looking forward to this. I don't know what, I know the subject. I don't know what you're going to ask me. This is a real interview.
Okay, well, I'm going to do a lot of it's going to be just me letting you talk as well, because I think you have some interesting things to say on this. So we figured we'd launch this first video with the topic that always gets a big reaction from your members, Donald Trump. Now, the former president, a big reaction is I maybe putting it mildly, but the former president is still at the forefront of Republican politics. And though I personally I'm a huge fan of his, you've been pretty clear that in your writing you believe it's time for the GOP to sort of move on from him. Why do you think that's important for the party?
Well, as a prelude to that, let me say I totally understand why Donald Trump has his supporters. That's not a mystery to me. Many people who voted for him did so simply because they didn't like the alternative. They didn't like Hillary in 2016. They didn't like Biden in 2020. Others, some of his more passionate supporters, saw in Donald Trump something very important to them. People want to feel important. They want to feel as if they matter. And Donald Trump was very good at making them feel as if they matter. So I want to be very clear to everybody listening to us and watching us. I get it. I understand why many of you voted for Donald Trump. My point is, and this is my main point, what is much more difficult to understand is why those people don't see the damage he's done to the Republican Party. Everybody out there who says, well, I don't like Joe Biden, and I'm one of them, by the way. I don't like his progressive agenda. I don't like the fact that he can't get through a sentence without stumbling over his own thoughts. So who do you think you have to blame for that? Donald Trump. Does anybody watching us right now really believe that Joe Biden won because millions and millions of Americans thought he was a charismatic leader, thought he was a visionary, thought he was a man with great ideas and intelligence? No. Joe Biden is president today because of Donald Trump. Voters, and I'm talking here about moderate, independent swing voters, the people who decide elections, they voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and they abandoned him in 2020 because they, like a lot of other voters, had enough of Donald Trump. They couldn't put up with the nonstop chaos anymore. So my point here, John, and to everybody listening and watching us, is that I get while many of you voted for Donald Trump, as I say, but you must understand, please understand the damage he's done to the Republican Party. He is the reason Joe Biden is president today.
Now, do you think, and I've always sort of gotten this impression, so after 2 terms of Obama, people were pretty frustrated. They saw people like John McCain and Mitt Romney as nominees who couldn't win. And then Trump comes along and he beats Hillary. And I think do you get the idea that they think that a Republican nominee needs to be like Trump in order to win in this political environment?
I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do. Trump came along in 2015 and 2016 as a total outsider. People were, are, and probably will continue to be just fed up with politics as usual. Donald Trump wasn't that. So they gravitated towards him. Mainstream Republicans gravitated towards him because they figured, well, here's a businessman. Here's a guy with different kinds of ideas. And a lot of blue collar white voters gravitated to him because of what I said earlier, that they saw how they were disrespected disrespected by the liberal elites in this country. Donald Trump came along and he represented someone who was going to stick up for them. And I think that's why they gravitated towards him, and that's why they voted for him in 2016. Again, he lost the moderates in 2020, and that's why he lost. But a Mitt Romney and a John McCain, while, stay with me, people watching, I like them better than I like Donald Trump because I think they're more honest. They have better, they're better people, I think. And even a lot of you who voted for Donald Trump know what I mean by that. He's an egomaniac. He's dishonest. He's vengeful to a point of like, stop already. So while I think, and while mainstream Republicans think that a McCain or a Romney should have won, but they didn't. They didn't. And you can't blame people for saying they didn't win. We need somebody who can win, because that's the most important thing. And they were looking for somebody who was aggressive. Here comes Donald Trump to fit that description.
And I think just personal observation, it feels to me like the last couple of years have sort of proven that I think we both know that coming up next year in the midterm, or actually this year in the midterms, it's going to be looks like it's going to be another Republican landslide, similar to what happened in 2010 with the Tea Party. And I think a lot of people on the right somehow want to attribute that to sort of the fight that Trump brought to the Republican Party. But I personally, to me, it seems like, the Democrats, we're sort of in this pendulum right now where whenever a party becomes a majority, they overkill things, they go too far, some of the craziest rhetoric you're going to hear comes from that side. And then the electorate sort of, okay, we got to try the other guys again. It's just, there's nobody who's really making a great case for why they should be in power. Just the people, when they do get power, are showing that they're not worthy of it. Is that how you kind of see it?
Yeah, first let me say, it looks like a red wave is coming. If I had to bet, I'd bet in that direction. But this is only April. The election is in November. Who knows what could happen between now and then? And since we're talking about Donald Trump today, if he comes along and decides to make the 2022 midterm elections about how the election was rigged in 2020, it's not a sure thing that as many Republicans are going to win as ought to win, as are expected to win. Now, as to the essence of your question, John, Joe Biden was elected because he said he was going to run and bring, as a moderate, and bring the country back to a state of normalcy. He has failed miserably, miserably. Inflation, crime, Afghanistan, even education, wokeness. He has been commandeered by the energetic progressive wing of the party. And that's why, getting to your question, that's why it looks like Republicans are going to win big, because they went too far in the other direction. You can't decide you're going to fundamentally transform America. By the way, I don't want America to be fundamentally transformed. We can have some tweaks and fixes around the edges, but I don't want it fundamentally to be something else. But Bernie Sanders does, Elizabeth Warren does, AOC does, and Joe Biden was pulled in that direction. And if the Democrats lose big, as I hope they will, and as it looks like they will, it'll be for that reason.
Now, do you think Trump will run for president in 2024, or do you think he even knows yet?
It's an obviously excellent, important question, and I'm not going to go out on a limb and say things I don't believe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm leaning slightly in the direction of no, he won't. but I don't know who the Democrats are going to put up. And despite what every person smarter than me is saying, I'm not at all sure it won't be Hillary Clinton.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
Well, if it isn't Hillary Clinton, and the smart money says it will not be Hillary Clinton, who is it going to be? Excuse me, who is it going to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I could see Donald Trump sitting at Mar-a-Lago saying, I won in 2020. I won in 2016. I could win a third time. I know this is crazy talk. He didn't win in 2020. He lost in 2020. Were there some shenanigans? Yeah, probably. There always are, but not enough to throw the election. So I could see him saying, I could do this again. I think that's a possibility. I wouldn't bet on it. If I had to bet today in April of 2022, I think he's not going to run, but I'm not at all confident in saying that.
Yeah. So one theory I've been, I have sort of thrown out there.
If he does run, I do think he'll get the nomination, but I'm not at all sure he would win if he got the nomination and ran. If you lose those independents, if you lose those swing state moderates, you can't win. You can't win just with the Republican votes or just with Democratic votes. You need that middle ground, and he lost them last time around. I'm not sure if they'd come back. They might. I'm just not sure.
Right. Now, one theory, something I had written about a few weeks ago in a column that I didn't actually think was going to happen, and I still don't think is going to happen, regarding the 2024 primary. So Mike Pence right now, people have the impression that he's leaning toward running, and some people tend to believe, and again, I would sort of be for this personally, but I don't think it's going to happen. Of him getting into the race basically just to take out Trump, who he's actually had quite, he's spoke out stronger against more recently. I think he, in many ways, Trump sort of ended Pence's possibility of becoming, a nominee by making him a bad guy in the stolen 2020 election. But yeah, there's some thought out there that Pence might actually enter and try to sort of take out Trump at the knees, in a way that few others could. What do you think about that?
That's delusional. Delusional. Pence cannot take Trump out by the knees. And by the way, if Trump decides he wants to run, he's going to take everybody out. I'm not saying nobody will enter the race to try to run against him. There may be some brave souls out there who are also delusional, who think they can bring him down, but they can't, and Pence can't. You see, this is another piece of the damage that Donald Trump has done to the Republican Party. His supporters, the 20%, let's say, who will not abandon him under any circumstance. By the way, I mean that literally, that they can't think of anything he would do to cause them to abandon Donald Trump. If they sit home on election day because somebody else won the nomination, or if Donald decides not to run and somebody does run and of course wins the nomination, and Donald Trump says, I wouldn't vote for that person if I were you, that person can't win. Those 20%, and that's a rough estimate of his most passionate supporters, they need to be on board. And Donald Trump needs to bring them on board. So the trick for the nominee of the Republican Party, if it isn't Donald Trump, is to not insult Donald Trump, to not offend his supporters, but to keep a respectable distance from Donald Trump so as not to offend swing state voters who the Republicans would need to win. Glenn Youngkin did that very successfully in Virginia, And whoever the Republican nominee is, if it isn't Donald Trump, has to figure out how to do that, has to walk that tightrope to not offend Donald Trump or his supporters, but to not embrace Donald Trump and risk losing the support of people you need who won't vote for you if they think you're too close to Donald Trump. You see what I'm getting at here, John?
Yeah,
That's the Donald Trump dilemma.
it is. It is a tough needle to thread. He puts everybody in the Republican Party, at least the leaders, the aspired leaders, in a pretty tough position. Not wanting to get out too far ahead of their skis, and not, it's not a great situation. But to me, it seems like a good place to end this, unless you had any other thoughts you wanted to offer on Mr.
Well,
Trump.
just that there's one thing. Currently Judge Jackson, who will soon be Justice Jackson of the U.S. Supreme Court when Stephen Breyer steps down. No conservative likes her judicial philosophy, okay? Why do you think she's the nominee and soon to be Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court? Because of Donald Trump. He went into Georgia on that election of that special election. And instead of speaking up for the Republican candidates, he went in and said, they stole the election from us in 2020. And he got enough Republican, and there were studies on this, he got enough Trump supporters so concerned about a rigged election that they figured, why am I going to stand in line, go to the polls and vote? And they stayed home. The Trump's most loyal supporters stayed home. This is not me talking. There have been actual analysis of this. And as a result, Georgia, once red state Georgia, elected not two liberals, two left-wing progressives. And as a result of that, the Democrats effectively took control of the Senate, and they were able to to nominate Judge Jackson, and now she's going to be on the Supreme Court. So people who are listening, my friends, people who are patrons to this website, and I appreciate that very much, you could dislike Judge Jackson all you want, but if you don't understand Donald Trump's role in that, you're missing a crucial point. I'm not saying that in any condescending way, in any holier than thou way. I'm just saying you have to understand the good about Donald Trump, why you voted for him, but you really need to understand the harm he's done and may continue to do to the Republican Party.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and leave it at that. Thanks a lot, Bernie, and thank you to all of our premium members. We hope
and
you
enjoy. If they like it, we'll do more.
Yeah,
let us know.
Great. And if you don't like seeing me, let me know too. But someone's got to ask the questions of Bernie.
John keeps the trains running on time on this website. Don't say anything to offend him, please.
Very good. All right, everyone. Thanks again, and have a great day, Bernie.
Thank you.